Okay, sounds like we don't have any questions. If everyone could please PM the word link to Maribot.
The only obvious exit from the harbor seems to be a narrow slot in the Arch of Kerith, but that's misleading. That arch was used for ceremonial entrances. The main entrance to the harbor is a large tunnel that's in the ring of stalagmites near the library courtyard. As a matter of fact, we're going to walk over and through that short cave right now. So if you'll all follow me. If you look at this gate, you'll see a form of the dripstone pattern. Looking across towards the library, you'll notice that there is a section of the plaza from around the courtyard from around the library, which has crashed into the down near the water. That event actually took place while the DRC was here. The DRC's website had been in operation for maybe a couple of weeks, and that section of the courtyard was still intact at that time. Then overnight, for some reason, perhaps due to an earth tremor, it came crashing down. So that particular damage is recent. And then if you look just to the right of that, you can see a little bit of the tunnel entrance, which is the main entry into the harbor. Okay, and now let's go ahead and go back to the other side of the esplanade, over to the ferry terminal. The Nexus and the key devices were not developed until very near the end of Denis civilization, so boats were the primary means of transportation around the islands in the cavern. Throughout much of Denis history, the lake would have been filled with private and commercial boats traveling between the islands and along rivers to other caverns. For 5,000 years, travel across the waters was not something the lower classes could do easily. This is the base of the tower, and from here it's really easy to see the massive amount of damage that was done to the lower floors by an earthquake at some time in the past. And you cannot see, and you can't see, of course, any of this damage from the other side of the building where we normally are. And welcome to the real entrance into the harbor, not instead of the ceremonial entrance in the Arch of Kerith.
There's a lot of people who aren't here yet, Larry.
Okay. The inscription reads, in Denis, Rabantano Tenian Shemti. For a long time, the inscription was known as the city's slogan. For decades, some rather wild guesses were made about it because the words Bantano and Teni were not known. We had no way of guessing their meanings because the inscription appears all over the place on Aegura, and is even on the walls in the residential neighborhoods. So, turning around, we are looking at the top of the ferry terminal tower here, and that is the lens of the lighthouse beacon. The broken structure behind it that you see is a reflector that was intended to bend the light so that it went more horizontally. From here, we should be able to see, if you look down near the ground level, you'll see a number of windows. That's the section of the tower that I call the harbor master's office, because observers would have been able to see the traffic on the inside the harbor from there, and theoretically to control it, probably by means of signals. Here on the docks, the DRC had at least two projects going on. The first was that they brought in divers and engineers to determine whether or not it would be feasible to refloat one or more of the ferry boats that are sunk out in the harbor. The survey was not completed by the time the DRC withdrew from the cavern. However, even after the DRC left, they still permitted scuba diving by archaeologists. And you can still see the powerful lights they used when working occasionally through the murky water if you look over towards the end of the dock that we're standing on. The pub is located a few yards below the level of Tokita Alley and has 3 entrances. We are standing outside the main one. Here at the end of the corridor leading to the pub, there's a computerized message board near the spot where there was once a crevice, and that was later filled back in. That crevice was where Willow Ingberg and Rosette Taylor fell into a room and were trapped, and where both subsequently died. Okay, now we're going to go inside the pub proper. Oh, excellent. He was able to remove the rockfall. Thank you again, Murphak. So this is a little side chamber that you normally cannot see because it's blocked by a rock fall. Something else to notice is that if you look up at the ceiling of this chamber, you'll see a crack in the roof which allows light in. However, I'd have no idea where that light is coming from because we are many, many stories below ground here. So we can't see the sky of the cavern above us. The museum is the Denis name for this building, although we don't know the Denis word for museum. It comes from a pamphlet that was found and which is in DRC possession. Despite the name, the museum had few exhibits that we would associate with that type of building. Instead, it was a common library for linking books to observation pods, all on the same world.